Welcome. It's Monday. That means we're at the track. Today's session is the beginning of a more intensive block of training. So the track work, we're going to be focusing more on acceleration development, trying to build that first 20 to 30 meters in a sprint. And then we're going to have a lot more max velocity work later on in the week as well. The previous 4 weeks, Mondays have been kind of a work capacity. So we've been doing a lot of sled work at sub-maximal efforts, 90% efforts with short rest periods, trying to just build up volume in meters. And then on my second track day, which is normally on Thursdays, has been like a short, heavy acceleration development. So we started off with 10s, building up to about 20, had 50 kilos on the sled, working on just building power through that first 10 to 20 meters. Today's progression off of that is we're kind of taking the focus of building that acceleration from the last block, and now we're going to intensify that and try to extend that out a little bit. So what we're going to be doing today is resisted sprints followed by unresisted sprints. So contrasting sets is what I like to do. So it means you're going to do a set of sled accelerations followed by a set of accelerations at the same distance with no sled, and then we're going to continue that on and off for probably 4 total sets. So 2 sets of those will be with the sled, 2 sets will be without a sled. So when I tested by 40 last week, I remember saying I felt like I got through my acceleration really well, but then that drive phase of transitioning from acceleration into my max velocity, so the upright sprinting, didn't feel like I was gaining much on that. So you should feel like you're continuously getting faster all the way into your upright full-on sprint. So what I'm going to be doing on Mondays for this training block is longer sled work followed by unresisted sprints. So we're going to do some 20s today, we're going to do some 30s with a sled, and then we're also going to do some 20-meter sprints, and we're going to do some regular 30-meter sprints today. So that's going to be the plan. I'm going to set up the sled now, knock out the first set. Before I get onto it though, just want to say we are creeping up very close to 4,000 subscribers. So if you're new to the channel, we have a 5,000 subscriber mark that we want to hit. Once we hit 5,000 subs on the channel, I am going to release a full 8-week sprint program for free, full download. You get the whole 8-week PDF download every single day laid out for you training wise. It's just the track work, so it's an easy program you could throw in with a program that you're already running if you just want to add sprints into your program. But at 5,000 subscribers, that program becomes free. So if you're here for the first time and you like what you see, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the video, drop a comment for the algorithm. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers and I'll release that program for you guys. So I'm going to load up the sled and then we're going to get after our first set on 20 meters. Meters with the sled is done. Gonna be doing some 20 meters with no sled now. I'm gonna try to film it from the side so you guys can see what I'm trying to focus on. Even though it's 20 meters, I'm still really trying to nail that first 5 to 10 meters and just get myself horizontal as possible and project out forward as much as possible. So I'm going to try to film it from the side, maybe even slow it up a little bit so you guys can see kind of the actions that I'm focusing on. The rest after each set throughout today's workout is going to be the same. So somewhere around 2 to 3 minutes. So I did a rep with the sled, rested about 2 or 3 minutes, repeated that. I'm going to go into my 20s now, and the same thing, 2 to 3 minute rest after each repetition on these 20s. We'll lighten the sled up a little bit, and then we're going to do 30s. One thing about the sled, today's efforts are max efforts. The previous Mondays, I've been doing those sub-maximal efforts where I'm trying to keep it at 90% effort, not go all out. We had a shorter rest period. Today we're going max effort on all of the repetitions, and we have a longer rest period. So we're increasing the intensity on each of the reps as we go. I'm gonna go set the camera up. We're gonna knock out probably about 3 20-meter accelerations now. All right, I slowed this down a lot to try to show you guys the positions. I also have some pictures coming up that I'll explain what I'm doing. But my main focus on this 10 meters is projection. Picture number 1 here is the initial projection from the 3-point stance. This is decent. I would actually like to see myself get a little bit more horizontal here. But overall, you want to see shoulders out in front of the hips, a line from the toe all the way through the shoulders, which is decent here. Ground contact number 1, you always want your ground contact to be below the hip or behind the hip. So if I were to draw a straight line from my hip down to my foot, I want that foot to be on that line or behind the line, which I do a decent job here. This projection angle is what I really like. I need to make my first step look more like this one here on that initial projection. This is a great position to be in on my second step. You can see a lot more forward lean and a lot more power being produced. And then ground contact number 2, again, draw that straight line from the hip down to the foot. You should see that foot make contact on that line or slightly behind. I think this is a great position here for contact number 2. '20s are done. Felt decent. Had one good rep out of those. I didn't get the first rep on camera, but I timed the last 10s of those. So from the 10-meter mark to the 20, went 116, 114, 115. So not terrible, pretty consistent on that. The first rep felt real choppy. Second rep, which is the first one that you guys saw, was a much better repetition. And then the third rep felt like I popped up a little bit too much. So that's why it ended up a little bit slower. So overall, not too bad. What we're gonna move on to now is 30-meter sled sprints. We're gonna take 10 kilos off the sled, extend the distance a little bit, focus on building that dry phase, really being strong and powerful through that 30 meters with the sled. And then we'll do the same thing and we'll follow up with some 30s after we do the sled work. All right, 30s felt really good with the sled. So I'm hoping the 30s without the sled feel just as good. If I were to predict what that last 10 is gonna be, so I'm gonna do my 30-meter accel, but only measure from 20 to 30 meters on that last 10. If I were to guess, I would say based on a 114 was my fastest 20, I'm gonna say like a 108 to 105 range is probably gonna be what I'm gonna hit on this 30. So I've already moved the cones, so I'll measure from 20 meters to 30 meters. I've got the chip right here. So the focus is gonna be the same. I'm still trying to hammer out of acceleration through that first 10 meters and really knock it out. So we'll see what happens. 108 to 106-ish. All right, I don't miss very often when I'm on my predictions, and when I do, it's not by a lot. I don't know what just happened on that, but that was 0.99. When that rep ended, I knew it was a lot faster than I anticipated. When you've done as many reps on the track at specific distances, you can kind of just feel when something is faster and when something is slower. For me, when I'm doing like a 30 or even like a 40-yard dash, something that's gonna be a shorter sprint, if I'm still down low driving through 20 meters, I know that's a great rep. That one I felt like I was driving through almost 25, 30 meters before I really got upright and started sprinting. If I'm able to keep that projection, which is the focus of today, is get out through that first 10 meters, accelerate really hard, drive, project horizontally as much as possible, and then transition through that drive phase very slowly, continuing to build speed until you're up into max velocity, and then you carry your top end speed for as long as you can. That rep right there, in my opinion, was executed to perfection. Obviously, I'm very biased because I'm right now grading myself, but like I know my times. I've done a lot of repetitions on these distances. I saw that first cone pass by and I still felt like I could get faster, like I could keep pushing and gaining speed. And then I kind of popped up right at the end, right at 30 meters, which is exactly how I want that rep to go. So a 99 is great. I'm gonna do one more rep and hopefully get a 99 again. Maybe we drop that down, but we'll see what happens. All right, rep number 2 was a 101. I could feel it on that one. I tried to kind of force that drive phase a little bit harder, which I think took away from kind of my natural feeling of wanting to rise through it. So a couple tenths or a couple hundredths slower on that. Overall, not too bad. Like a 0.99 is over 10 meters per second, obviously, because we timed a 10 meter and it was less than 1 second. But to be able to do that between 20 and 30 meters, let's say I'm doing a 40-yard dash, which is roughly like 36.5 meters ish. Being able to hit that 10 meter per second mark and still have a good 6 meters left to do means that, like, let's say 26 to 36 would probably be like a mid 0.99 or even like a low 90 on that flying 10, which would translate to like very low to mid 4.3s on a 40-yard dash. Obviously, this is just kind of like an estimate range because you can't accurately predict a 40 just taking a section of a 10 meter and trying to translate that. Like, your acceleration leading into that 10 meters is going to dictate what the overall result is going to be. But just looking at like what speeds a person is capable of hitting, if you can hit over 10 meters per second, you're easily running 4.3s. If you can hit that 10 meters per second earlier on, it should mean that you're gaining speed later on. So being able to hit that from 20 to 30, still having some meters left over to gain more speed, you can make an educated prediction that you're going to continuously drop that 0.99 down to a 0.96, a 0.95, or whatever it might be. So if you're hitting 0.95 down to 0.89, like, you're pushing 4.2 ranges and hitting some really elite speeds when it comes to like a 40-yard dash, which is mainly what I train for. I don't care about running a 100-meter dash or a 60. I just kind of stay within that 40-yard range just because it allows me to get a lot of sprint volume in, still train heavy in the gym, not feel too burnt up from any single track session. So overall, that was a great day. Not too fatiguing. I think the progression on this is next week we'll probably keep the same format, but take about 5 kilos off the sled each week as we go. So the progression is we want to try to start moving faster and faster. And the way that you can move faster is by taking load off the sled, still having resistance, but allowing that sled work to be a little bit faster, develop force quicker, and then when you do your normal sets without the sled, should translate over to having faster times on that as well. And then eventually I think what we're going to do is week 3, probably test a 40 and then a flying 10 some point within that week, because I hit my fastest times week 3 in my last block. So I think that's going to happen again this block. So we'll set up some tests coming up soon for the 40-yard dash again. But that's going to be it for today. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Sorry for all the residual noise. The microphone I ordered, that's gonna be one of those clip-on mics, is on the way. So we just gotta bear with me. It should be here sometime within the next few weeks. But again, appreciate you guys watching the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.